Welcome to the WTR Small-Cap Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Gerdeman, Vice Chair and Co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer of Water Tower Research. Today, we're joined by Yehu Ofer, CEO, and Einav Brenner, CFO of Odysight.ai Inc, Nasdaq and Tel Aviv Stock Exchange ticker symbol ODYS. Odysight.ai is pioneering AI-powered visual sensing and predictive maintenance for aerospace, defense, and industrial markets. The company deploys proprietary video-based sensors, embedded software, and AI algorithms into hard-to-reach environments and safety-critical components, essentially putting eyes inside the machine to detect anomalies in real time and forecast failures before they happen. Odysight.ai's dual-use technology is qualified and deployed on platforms associated with such well-known names as Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Safran, Elbit Systems, and NASA, with a growing presence across rotorcraft, UAVs, space, and industrial applications. Yehu has served as CEO for the past 3 years. Also joining is my WTR equity research colleague, James Kisner. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining today's podcast.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yehu, to kick things off, for listeners new to Odysight story, can you please provide them with a 30,000-foot overview of what the company does with AI-powered visual sensing and what problem or problems the company's technology solves for your customer base?
Thank you again for the question, and from 30,000 foot to describe Odysight. So around 5 or 6 years ago, Odysight was a small diameter optical device company for different application. It had one project in the medical device arena to Fortune 500 company that develop and produce a solution for spinal surgery, and this came out up to a full product that is changing the way that spinal surgery is being made. And from the other hand, NASA came to the company and approached us via the internet in order to find a solution for a small diameter optical device that is launched from the space shuttle, attached to a dead satellite in orbit, and check through the fuel shuttle valve, the fuel tubes for cracks, leaks, and etc. And we had a product that could survive from one end in the human environment and from the other hand in space conditions. And then came an accident in the Israeli Air Force that an Apache AH-64 helicopter was crashed because of a mechanical problem of a push-pull rod. The push-pull rod is connecting between the pedals of the pilot to the aft rotor, and this was disassembled in flight, and this is being checked only every 5 years in depot level, and it's very hard to look at it because you need 10 days to disassemble the aircraft in order to see it. And the investigation committee, when it defined the root cause analysis of what was cause of this accident, it was a movement of the mechanical closing knob on the push-pull rod, and this was released in 0.5 millimeter, and slowly until it disassembled, and they lost the connection between the aft rotor and the pedals, lost the horizontal stability, and crashed. Out of that came, and today, if I'm running 3 years forward, so today we have a full AI-based solution based on small sensors that can survive in the very harsh environments of aerospace, and beyond that, we are having a full solution that is taking the data from the aerospace, put it inside a small computer that can survive on premises or via the cloud, analyze the data, give anomaly detection in real time, and as we are gathering the information, so we can get also prediction to when it's happening. This is relevant for safety critical issue, hard to reach, single point of failure areas inside platform, and it's identifying many things that haven't been able to detect before, like leaks, cracks, anomaly detection, corrosion, moving parts, and things that does not have as the legacy system that are doing it by vibration on dynamic parts only. That's the new thing that we are bringing into this world.
That's a fascinating diversity of applications, I have to say. And with that, thank you for that answer. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, James Kisner, to drill a little deeper into the firm.
All right. Thanks, Tim. All right. So I'm going to drill down a little bit more on your answer there, Yehu. It's, you've described Odysight as putting eyes inside the machine, which I think is a kind of a cool description. What really makes this combination of visual sensors and AI fundamentally different from traditional sensor-based monitoring, and why is that so hard to replicate?
Okay, so first of all, it's the conditions. In order to be proved for the aerospace hemisphere, So you need to prove yourself for standards. So Odysight is an AS 9100 company. It stands on all the requirements, both from the mechanical and environmental and electrical, in order to be qualified, in order to get inside to those harsh environments. The other thing is the ability to create sensors that can survive in the environment and give you the detection. We have in the company a lot of knowledge in small optics that can detect, because the definition of a crack or a structural problem inside an aircraft, it's very small, and how to detect it and how to do it efficiently. So there is a lot of knowledge of the electrical optical solution that is invested in that. We have more than 16 patents already granted for those sensors, and we have around 34 in PST level and in the movement, as we are unique in the development and production of these types of eyes inside the machine, as you correctly said. So the ability to survive, the ability to function, the ability to detect the actual use case that is there. And on that, of course, there is the application software and algorithms that are not less important, in order to give an AI solution that is in a high level of reliability and can give to those critical machines a solution that they can rely on.
Yeah, that's very helpful. I guess, let's drill down. You touched on the competitive piece a little bit, but maybe we could kind of double click on that. Just, how would you describe the competitive landscape, and how does that IP portfolio reference and overall strategy just position Odysight to stay ahead as the market develops?
Okay, great. So first of all, the competitive landscape today is mainly, or 90% of the market is based on the traditional legacy platforms that are based on vibration. But the leading sensors in the world are vibration, optical, vibration, thermal, acoustic, and pressure. What we brought inside to that is the ability. Think about that. 99% of all the checks in all the machines, the critical machines in the world, at the end, the checklist for the maintenance personnel is check that it's okay, check that there is no leak, check that there is no that. And the vibration-based sensors that are the legacy sensor are integrated only into dynamic parts and can sense vibration in something that is not moving correctly or starts to move incorrectly. So we are bringing around 70% of the platform that was not being detected. It was only detected by human. So we are bringing a solution to those 70 parts, and we can also, if we are needed, we can also make a detection of most of the other things. Now, since we are coming from this world, so we designed our sensors and our system in order to be able also to take let's say the legacy sensors that are there, so we can install also a holistic solution that also take vibration and other sensors inside into our platform and give the holistic solution if the customer asks. Now, what we are bringing today does not have, nobody developed that before, this kind of capability. So we are new into an existing, or already to an existing market. Now, the ability, what you asked about, the ability for someone to come, of course, if someone will tomorrow will put 500 engineers and will invest a huge amount of money and power, he probably can, he can create something like Odysight is doing. It's not something that is impossible to do, but we are already having a lot of knowledge, both in the knowledge of the data that we are recognized, both in the knowledge of what we are doing, what we have as existing solution in high level of reliability, and the position. Why should tomorrow the Israeli Air Force should approach to someone else when you already have a very good track record with us? So once in 2025, we got the product into a qualified level, and we have a qualified product in all the assets, both hardware and software. So now we are running full steam ahead in order to get to commercial position, and every position that we are getting is like the one that we published lately, and probably more that will come. So it's giving us a strategic advantage in front of competitor that will come tomorrow to the same market.
That's helpful. So you had a lot of important wins recently, the IAF Sikorsky SH-60 fleet level order, the first AH-64 orders, UAV platforms, NASA, and even some growing European momentum. So what do you think it is about today's defense environment that's driving customers to adopt your technology now?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you. First of all, there are conflicts in the world. They were not there 20 years ago. Defense was one end. Today, the whole geopolitical situation in the world is being changed. It's not connected to Odyssey. But there are two factors that are there. One, the existing platforms, all of them, if you want to buy tomorrow a tank or a F-16, you will get into line that you will get it in 6 years. So all the existing platforms that are in the world today will be extended. In order to be extended, they need to be examined. Most of the checks that need to be done are exactly where Odysight brings a lot of value. So that's from one end. And think about the overload of platforms that are flying in the Ukraine or in the US against US and Israel against Iran conflict. So you need to overload the platform. It flies very heavy. It do a lot of flight hours. The time between the periodical checks is becoming very short because it's flying a lot of flying hours. So the whole cycle of maintenance is becoming an acceleration. One. The second is the time, the efficiency of the time on ground. The time on ground is critical for a commercial aircraft. It's the most expensive thing, and it's critical from the operational point of view to a defense platform. So a lot of the platforms will be extend life. They need us. A lot of the platforms need to be more efficient in order to get. We are contributing in that sense. We are contributing. Think about the man in the loop issue that we are. If you need to check something that you need to see the maintenance personnel in night in the Persian Gulf on a carrier in a US carrier. So people get tired. So and we are objective. We are checking that exactly what is needed. So we give the data that is very valuable because the system does not get tired. And the last thing is for the OEM that needs to, because think about even from the aspect of personnel, it's not easy today to find people who want to become master in technician of maintenance for platforms that are there. It's a manpower that is becoming more and more problematic worldwide, not connected. Who wants to be on an elevator and get 100 floors up in order to check the cable with a flashlight? It's not something that is so. No, but that's where we come. That's where we come useful. Okay, because we bring eyes exactly into this spot, and we are, in a way, replacing or giving value to the criteria, which is what is being checked by the human eye.
Just to add on what Yehu said, the contribution here is also in terms of it's also economical, because you save man hours and you save the cost of specific professional man hours, and you are able to manage your supply chain in a more effective way. So you're not ordering potentially a lot of spare parts if you're not absolutely required to do that. So the contribution to the customers is not just within the safety and the operational availability, it's also within the economical.
Yeah. And I'm just saying one word of operational coming out of my experience, and I think it's important to understand. Think about the UAV that is 7 hours out there. It could be a US UAV or Israel. It doesn't matter. Okay, and now you need to take a decision. You have some very small malfunction that you don't know exactly what it is. Suddenly you have the data about a leak of fuel or a leak of oil that is there, and you don't know just that there is a light that is saying you have a leak. You know that there is a leak. You know what is, when you can calculate and know when it will become critical. Now, this data becomes operational because then you can take a decision to maintain it there in order to continue the mission, or you are taking it back based on data and not based on feelings or on something like that. And just finalizing what Einav said, because I think it's critical in every availability contract, on every availability of a system. And there are two requirements today in the US market, that is operational availability and mission readiness. And the third one, by the way, is safety. So those things are being contributed by Odysight, because Odysight lowers the life cycle from the pre-flight level up to the depot level. The costs that are there are maintenance personnel and the level of parts that you need to hold in order to support the operation, and we are contributing on all of those.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We give value of all of those.
That sounds like a lot of customer value. That visibility seems like it would be really important and useful. Beyond aerospace, you're expanding into elevator safety, mining trucks, railway monitoring, and armored personnel carriers. Just how do you balance that broader opportunity with staying focused on aerospace?
So again, thank you for the question. First of all, we are small, and we need to focus. So our decision was, because it was when I came into the company and I had a lot of discussion on that with Einav, we are a small company, we need to be focused. And what the decision that we took is aerospace, okay? But why aerospace? Because aerospace can pay for the maintenance, aerospace can pay for the safety, aerospace, the gaps there are big, and the value that we bring is very evident, okay? So that's why aerospace by itself is a huge market, because it's not just the platform, it's also the engines, it's also the parts. There are a lot of things in aerospace that we can, if you look inside below the floor of a 777 or 787, so many pipes, there is a lot to do there for what we give value. But what we learned when we grew up the aerospace product to the level of qualification, which is where we are, we learned that in the last year, since the change of AI and the ability to accelerate in software, and the ability to go from C++ to Python was something that was, or on the opposite, was a huge operation in just a few years ago. Today, it's a kind of easy, and you can accelerate. So what we learned is that 85 or maybe even more than 85% of our software is the same as it is both on the aerospace and with industrial. The other thing is that the sensors are the same at the end. So, and the algorithms, it's repeated phenomenon. So what we said is, where we see an opportunity that does not need anything from us, it looks like huge opportunity, like railway switches, okay, like elevators, and we can do it because someone is taking us forward, as we did in the elevator. So we are just a piggyback inside, and there is someone that is taking all the effort to take it forward, and we bring something that we already know, and we just need to give him, a piece and let him go. So that's why we allowed ourselves to test the water in few places, and the responses are amazing. And the last thing that I need to say, and this is a CEO of a very small startup company yet, is that where we are is that we cannot, close our eyes and say we are only going there, because sometimes the opportunity is not here, it's a little bit 10 degrees to the left. And if there is there, and the market will accelerate much more, so I need to see that I also have some alternative, as it does not hurt our main operation. And that's where we are.
Agree. I totally agree with what you said. And I think just to maybe further emphasize it, the application is the same application that we use. The software is the same software. In a lot of cases, the hardware is exactly the same hardware, in sometimes simpler within the industrial, obviously, in terms of cost and price to the customers. And the algorithms, just as an example. So if you're taking the algorithm, it's the basic algorithm. It may require some customization in terms of the field of view or the length or other definitions, but it's the same basic algorithm we use in cranes and in elevators belts and in rescue cables, and even in the cables on the carriers that assist the aircraft in their landing process. So it's the same basic algorithm with some certain customization that is not required much, as Yehu mentioned, because of the progress of the AI in the latest month. And this is exactly what we're doing. We're taking every low-hanging fruit that we can, taking into consideration that it's not, diverting the company from its focus.
And if I may, because I've touched a critical point, which is also important. Look, if I'm gathering information in 500 elevators, okay, and this information is on a cable, and this is supporting me because it's the same use case in the level of the AI and the maturity of the algorithm, and that's this at the end. It's the same algorithm that I use on search and rescue hoist. That is there, that is, how you are, it's pretending, so it contributes and it matches, okay? So it does not hurt us. On the contrary, it's helped us to give more value to other customers.
That's very helpful. So, I think I'm going to hit you with a couple financial questions
Sure.
if we're up here.
That's why Einav is here.
Yeah, so, I think you had a bit of a timing impact you talked about in Q1 from a revenue perspective, but you had some strong backlog, I think 14 million, just with a revenue profile kind of geared towards year end. So how should investors think about that backlog conversion through the rest of 26 and kind of, what gives you confidence?
Thank you, James. So yes, we indeed have $14 million backlog. We ended up 25 with $3 million revenues. And it's important to say that in 2025, towards year end, we have actually had the initial deliveries or first recognition of revenues within the aerospace. So the entire $14 million backlog is focused within the Air Force. There's some industrial flavor in there, but it's focused within the aerospace. And it's a firm commitment by customers. And another important, I think, point to emphasize is that it only reflects the initial sale of the kit that includes our sensor processing unit and basic set algorithm. So it doesn't reflect the future subscription recurring revenue that is expected to come on top of those sales. And in terms of 2026, this is the year we work very hard to deliver the existing backlog. Some of the existing backlog, the large agreement in there, which we've published, it exceeds 10 million, is to be delivered within the next several years. There's a minimum quantity per year the customer is committed to take. So I feel very comfortable within the delivery of that. And also the other agreements in there. So let's take into example the Seahawk agreement that you've talked about. It is to be delivered within the next 12 to 18 months. So some of it will be delivered within 2026. So I feel very comfortable within the expected delivery of 2026. On the other hand, yes, you are right. Q1 revenues were relatively low because of mainly timing differences. And some of the deliveries that we expected to have in Q1 was pushed forward to Q2 or onwards because some global conflicts. By the way, the shutdown that the U.S. government had at the end of last year and the conflict that we faced here in March and slightly even after March affected some of the deliveries within Israel and the US. So pushed it forward, didn't eliminate it obviously, but just in terms of the timing, yes, pushed it forward towards the end of the 2026 or later quarters in 2026. But I feel very comfortable. And I think more importantly, I think we should be measured probably in the next year within the backlog level, by the backlog level, because we have a lot of proposals out there. We expect to mature those proposals within 2026, definitely within the next 12 months. So I think we expect to have a very interesting, let's say, a year, 12 to 24 months. It will be very interesting. And I just recommend everybody to stay tuned and follow us.
No, makes sense.
And adding to that is the significance of every PO that is there, because even if you signed a CRADA or you signed an initial PO with Honeywell, or you did it, or we did a cooperation. So this is after a very long period and efforts that were taken in order to get to this position. Every one of those POs is an entry point into a global name. And it's only the start. So if you look at what the company will accomplish in the coming, so I think it should be US first, as you saw it. Europe is coming. The level of I would say major OEM and major companies name outside of Israel, and not left alone to come to POs that are fleet level. Okay, not only 1, 2, 3. But fleets level, which is those are the next milestones that will indicate that the potential of the company is starting to be translated into what we think.
Exactly.
Okay, that's helpful. So one more here for you, Einav. It's you ended Q1 with a little over like 20 million in net cash, I think, and you just got this recent dual listing in Tel Aviv Stock Exchange. And that kind of broadened your investor base. Just how are you thinking about your cash runway and the framework for funding the business from here?
Thank you. So yes, indeed, we ended up Q1 26 with approximately 22 million. We're well funded. We're debt free. That's true. We're very minded on the cash burn. We're focused on anything. We're not planning, by the way, extending our headcount. We're focusing on commercial progress and commercial deliveries of the existing backlog and signed POs. So we're very minded into the cash burn. So we're well funded, but we're not fully funded. We have all the let's say all the funds that we need in order to deliver our commitments. But we do plan to accelerate. And with this acceleration, we may require additional funding. By the way, some of it may come as part of all the global. We're discussing with global partners, really, really large OEM operators, MROs, and some of the discussions are not only commercial, are also strategic. So some of potential financing could come from one of those huge partners. But we're very minded to it, and I feel comfortable within the next 12 to 18 months, and we'll see. We'll be opportunistic as the right opportunity comes.
All right, thanks, Einav. That's helpful. So, Yehu, let's wrap up here. So, what are the priorities that you and the team are most focused on over the balance of 2026, and what milestones should investors be watching?
So I think that we are focused on, as I said, core level and positions in the aerospace. The next milestones should be fleets POs on the level of fleets, and not just the first POC or second POC. The second we are focused US first. And in the US, we are focused on the level of OEM and large scale companies. Honeywell is a good example. The US Navy is a good example. Okay, but that's where the investor, any one of those that will be like that or bigger, should indicate to the investor that we are on the right track. In Europe, it's the same, since the budgets there are huge, so and accelerating. So to get the first, we started only 1 year and something ago. So to get the first POs in the EU, even if it's small, it's a huge indication of our consideration. And the last one, so fleets, OEMs, and tier and blue chip customers that are recognize us, could come also from the Far East. It's not that we are neglecting or not looking there. It just was not on the map until now, but we are looking also there. And those are the indications, okay? And every one of those is a huge symbol of that we are getting it right.
Wow, it sounds like a very differentiated technology with a lot of secular tailwinds. So very interesting story. I'll pass it back to Tim.
Thanks, James, for those great questions. And Yehu and Einav, thanks so much for joining us today to discuss Odysight. I have to say the same observation I made on the front end, even stronger now on the back end after hearing this story, is that it seems like the applications for the technology are limited literally just by your imagination. There's so many different applications. And I would just say, kind of in a quick digression, as a lifelong military hawk, thank you for all the important work you're doing to keep pilots safe around the world. So have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very,
both.
very much.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, as well as visiting www.watertowerresearch.com to stay up to speed on the company's small cap written research reports, podcasts, fireside chats, industry-specific symposiums, and conference schedules. We will see you next time for another edition of the WTR Small-Cap Spotlight Podcast. Finally, a special thanks to the producer and editor of the podcast, Krista Fitzpatrick.